Over the next few days, there is an enhanced risk that we could see Tropical Storm Dawn develop in the northern Atlantic. Taking a look at the current European model forecast, we do have several tropical waves moving through the main development region. However, at this time, conditions are mainly unfavorable thanks to the fact that there is a strong amount of wind shear over the main development region at this time, which is very typical for this time of the hurricane season where it's still very early. We typically see the upper level winds a little bit too strong for much of any tropical storms to develop during the months of June and July. It's not until August we begin to see the tropical cyclone development increase in the main development region. Although we did see Tropical Storm Brett, that was an anomaly. Typically speaking, it's very difficult for a tropical storm to develop in the main development region. However, moving a little bit further northward is where we could potentially see the possibility of Tropical Storm Dawn continuing to move forward. With the forecast, we're going to have a mid-latitude low that's going to move through the northeast. That's going to bring very heavy rainfall over the next several days, so you need to watch out for that. The thunderstorms are expected to move very slowly. We do have a blocking ridge that's going to prevent the thunderstorms from moving very quickly, so a lot of these rain showers and this convective activity is expected to linger around for several days, and then eventually this convective activity will move into the open Atlantic to where we could potentially see the possibility of Tropical Storm Dawn as early as Wednesday, where we do see a well-defined low pressure system just off the coast of North Carolina as well as Virginia, and there is a decent amount of thunderstorm activity just to the north of this storm. And moving forward with the forecast, we do see that this eventually moves into the open Atlantic. And the good news is that this isn't necessarily much of a threat to land anywhere. It's expected to move just north of Bermuda, but there still could be that possibility it could develop into a tropical storm. The water temperatures should be close to 80 degrees. It's going to move up along the Gulf Stream. However, it's likely that it's going to need some baroclinic influences. Let me show you guys sea surf temperatures right now. Here's a current look at the sea surf temperatures as of July 9th, and the storm system should be right around this area, which is right in between, which is over sea surf temperatures that are right between the upper 70s to lower 80s right in this area. So in some portions, the ocean might be a little bit too cool for this to develop into a tropical storm. However, there are exceptions, especially if this does get a little bit of baroclinic instability to enhance its convection. This could potentially develop into a subtropical storm, but it's likely that won't impact land, which is certainly good news. Right now, the National Hurricane Center is giving this a 30% chance of developing within the next 7 days. I wouldn't be surprised if this increases, but even if it does, it's unlikely to impact land, which is certainly good news. Shifting our focus a little bit further southward, the good news is that as of right now, the European model and the GFS model aren't really showing that any tropical wave moving through the main development region in the near future has a good chance of developing, and there are plenty of reasons for this. For one thing is that the wind shear is going to be quite strong. Let's take a look at the next few tropical waves that are expected to move through. The only thing you need to worry about in the Caribbean is heavy rainfall. We're going to see this first tropical wave move through. I'll say by the Tuesday timeframe, you should experience an enhanced risk of thunder showers throughout the Leeward Islands as well as Puerto Rico and eventually the Dominican Republic. So watch out for that in those areas, but this won't really have much of a chance of developing into a tropical storm just because there's too much dry air and a strong amount of wind shear thanks to an upper level low that's expected to exist just to the southeast of Bermuda. And moving a little bit further eastward, we do have more tropical waves, but another problem with these tropical waves is that they're going to be a little bit too far south, and that's a problem because if the tropical waves are located a little bit too further southward, then that means that it won't have the Coriolis effect won't have as much of an impact as, let's say, if these tropical waves were a little bit further northward, because the closer to the equator you go, the less the Coriolis effect impacts storm systems and their rotation. And tropical waves that typically move this far southward don't have enough rotation to develop enough convection and enough convergence around low pressure system for these storms to continue to intensify. So since they're a little bit too further southward, these really have no chance of developing as we approach the late week. The ridge is going to be a little bit too strong and a little bit too far southward, thanks to the fact that this low will exist right over this area. What this low pressure system will do is it'll force the Bermuda Azores high to be a little bit further southward, and that would force the tropical waves to move a little bit further southward for them not to have much of a chance of developing into tropical storm, because the closer to the equator they are, the less of an impact the Coriolis effect would have on the storm's rotation. And we see that this ridge is going to stay very strong, and that's going to prevent much convective activity to move further northward. So that's only going to inhibit tropical cyclone development for the foreseeable future as of right now. Moving a little bit more forward with the forecast, we do see that there is this tropical wave that does develop a well-defined low pressure system that's just to the south of the Leeward Islands. However, I'll still say it's a little bit too far southward, and it's gonna come very close to South America, so it's gonna deal with a lot more land interaction, so not much of a chance there. Unless we see this ridge move a little bit further northward, then there could be potentially that higher possibility of tropical cyclone formation. There's still a lot of days to iron out the forecast, but with the GFS model also in good agreement that these troughs will move well to the south of the main development region, that's definitely going to inhibit the chance the chance that we're going to see a tropical storm develop in this area. And moving forward with the forecast, this trend is expected to continue. Maybe a tropical wave eventually moves northward by the time we approach the July 17th to the July 18th time frame, where this could bring an enhanced risk of rain showers, but it's still expected that the wind shear will be a little bit too strong for a much tropical cyclone development to occur, which is certainly good news, but I'll keep you guys updated regarding any changes in the forecast. And here's the forecasted amount of wind shear over the next several days. We do see that there's going to be an upper level low that's going to be located right around the Cuba area. That's going to bring a strong amount of wind shear right over the Southern Caribbean. The main development region will, at least in this portion, will experience a strong amount of wind shear. But again, the tropical waves are going to move a little bit too far south to experience a slightly sheared environment. And we have another upper level low that's going to continue to persist and bring stronger wind shear right over the Leeward Islands. So that's certainly something you're going to need to pay very close attention to. And it's certainly good news that it should likely inhibit tropical cyclone development for the near future. The GFS model is also suggesting the same thing. We do have several tropical waves that don't really develop much convective activity for this to have a good chance. We do have this one tropical wave in the very long-term future, but still way too far out to take it with any sort of certainty. And moving forward with the forecast, not much of a chance of tropical cyclone development, but we're just going to need to wait and see. We do have this low pressure system that does develop right around the Friday time frame, July 14th, and we could maybe see this redevelop in Central America, but it seems like it's going to move a little bit too far southward. But again, I'll keep you guys updated since there's a lot of hours to iron out this forecast. Another thing that's expected to inhibit tropical cyclone development is the fact that there's going to be a high amount of Saharan dust right over the main development region. So you're going to need to pay close attention to this throughout the Caribbean. You're going to experience a lot of dust and hazy conditions thanks to this Saharan air layer, and that's going to create a temperature inversion. So it should be highly stable right over the main development region, and eventually could reach the United States by the July 12th to 13th time frame. So make sure to pay close attention to that. So here's the global tropics hazards outlook for the more long-term future. We do see that there is expected to be an enhanced risk of moisture right over the main development region for the week starting July 12th and the week starting July 19th as well. So we're definitely, of course, going to need to be aware of this scenario, but it's at this point, it seems unlikely we're going to see tropical storm development in the main development region, but still a lot of days aren't out the forecast. We're going to need to see if this ridge will move a little bit further northward to see if we're gonna see another tropical storm develop in this area. And here's what the National Hurricane Center is forecasting when it comes to the chance that this of tropical cyclone development. We do see that the only area will be right in the middle of the Atlantic, but the good news is that if this does develop, it likely won't impact land, maybe an enhanced risk of higher surf right around Bermuda and eastern Canada. But other than that, not much more. 30% chance of development over the next 7 days, but unlikely to impact land, which is certainly good news. Here are what the GFS ensemble members are forecasting when it comes to the next few low pressure systems that are expected to develop in the northern Atlantic. We do have some ensemble members wanting to take this and neat some tropical waves to near tropical storm status by the time this approaches the Caribbean, but still this is very far out. I'm going 240 hours out, so a lot could change. We're definitely going to need to see where exactly this ridge will build, if we're going to see the tropical waves move a little bit further northward for the Coriolis effect to have more of an effect to strengthen these low pressure systems. We're just going to need to wait and see. So here's my overall forecast when it comes to the potential of Tropical Storm Dawn. So we could see that potential just off the United States coast. However, I will say that the chance is lower, and most likely if this does develop, this won't impact any land, which is good news. And while I'll say, at least for the near future, it's unlikely we're going to see tropical storm development over the main development region as well as the Caribbean, keep in mind of the possibility of enhanced rainfall due to these next few tropical waves moving through, and we're definitely going to need to still be aware of this area because when it comes to the main development region, we still, of course, could see a tropical wave develop anytime, even during unfavorable conditions. So I'll keep you guys updated, but thank you guys for watching.